Hi, this is Gila Nehemia, sacred erotic self-love poet, mentor, and author, and you're tuned into Collaboration Ascension Healing. I'm so excited to have Laura Di Franco here with me today, and we are doing a live. So if you're here on any of the channels, Laura's, my business page, or on YouTube, you can ask questions. So thank you for joining. And a few words about Laura before we get started. Laura Di Franco is the lead goddess of healing badassery at Brave Healer Productions, where they publish world-changing wellness books. Her mission is to change the world one brave word at a time. She helps wellness entrepreneurs share their message and business in a bigger way by practicing next-level strategic mindset and action-taking discipline. If you're ready to learn some ninja moves for your business, visit bravehealer.com. And I put that right here. If anybody wants to visit that, please feel free. So Laura, please tell us, the topic today is actually about transmuting fear and writing bravely with joy. And I know that one of the first classes I took, Laura was one of my first mentors, and it was about intuitive writing and the fear of not being good enough. So can you talk a little bit more about that, Laura?
Yeah, there was a moment that I had about 4 years ago, and it was when a stranger, complete stranger, reached out to me on Facebook Messenger and just was asking for more to read. She had read a blog of mine, words that I had written about self-care or whatever. And through that whole time of getting to know her and her reaching out, I realized that my words might change someone else's life, that people were paying attention, and that my fear of not good enough was freaking boring. Mm-hmm. Because really, when I thought about it, changing somebody else's life, possibly even saving somebody's life when they're feeling connected and not alone anymore, that's a big deal. So all of a sudden I thought, you know what, this isn't about me anymore. So these fears, these purpose-driven fears are a little bit boring, especially if you're in the entrepreneurial world and wanting to change the world with your message.
Yeah, exactly. I totally hear that. And I think that it's a big fear, though, because a lot of people, when they're trying to up level, it's always like, can I do this? Can I really be a published author? I know you help people to publish books. So can I really do that? And so just tell us a little bit about that, how you help people to actually move through that.
Being out loud in the written or spoken form is fundamentally you reclaiming your self-worth, you coming to a place where you know that you were born so you're worthy. And then match that up with what I just talked about in terms of this isn't really about you anymore. This is about your gifts helping somebody else. So hitting publish on a blog or a book or whatever those words are, yeah, that's really, really scary because it comes with a feeling of vulnerability. And I don't know about you guys, but that for me, that's like in my throat. I get all choky, and sometimes it's in my heart. Most often it's right in the middle of my chest and my heart. And if you can practice a level of body awareness where you realize you don't have to make the physical feelings mean anything in your head, and you can take the action and hit publish anyway, that's really, like, if I had to sum it up, that would be the process, the practice with which I have been in to do this publishing thing. Yes, it's scary, but get around people who will practice with you and you can do it. And it matters.
Yeah, I love that, because you're completely right. I've realized that as well, that the more that we can actually realize that we're feeling this way because one of my feelings is we're asked, we're like, our soul is asking us to do this, from a spiritual perspective, or even that we're just drawn to it. So it's actually this resistance that we have when we're fearing it, and push that through. And I think you're really good at that, helping people to really go through that, and even hold them hand a little bit to just let them see so much is actually opened up for them when they do it.
Well, you know that the hands that I've held is more like I drag you along a little bit. I know that you know that about me. But I feel that purpose, so deeply, and it's just really, it's lit a fire under me. And so I'm shining on you guys to say, hey, let that fire light you up too, and let's go. And you said something really important. It's the draw to something. It's that desire. But if you're at a point in your life where you've really not, your desires are based on what everyone told you should want to be happy, and you realize you're in a place where you're like actually not happy, even though you followed all of those rules, like, what the hell there, right? Like, you have to stop and pause and understand what your truest desires are, getting clarity on what actually makes you feel that deep joy versus what everyone else told you was supposed to do that. And then everything comes from there. The draw, that purpose-driven fear. Here's another way to discern that and the other kind, is that it keeps coming up. Like, your soul knows. And it's going to bring it up again, and you're going to have to face it again and again until you get better at moving through it.
Yes. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. That's actually why I do this series, to collaborate with people like you, because when we actually work together and we use each other's strengths to grow, we create something that we have never even dreamed of. It far surpasses our dreams. And I want to talk a little bit about your self-healing series. I know that's kind of where one of the things that you're doing many things. One of the things.
Speaking of badass collaboration energy, right? Like, oh my gosh, you guys. Yeah. So the quick story for you is I woke up on March 20th, the beginning of this year. It was about a week after my physical therapy practice had shut down from COVID, and I was dreaming the dream of doing this collaborative book with my ladies that I knew, And so I ran, literally almost ran in my pajamas from the bed to the laptop that morning. And I typed in a little note in the group and I said, who wants to do this? Who wants to write a chapter? The world needs to understand how to do the self-healing tools at home by themselves. They can't reach out right now to get their healing, from other practitioners. So yeah, we put that Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing first volume out, and we did it in 5 weeks, which is a small miracle in the book publishing world. Those of you who have been in it, that you understand. But we're on volume 4. So we've published 3 Amazon bestsellers in 2020 with the magical, amazing collaborative energy of all of these world-changing healers coming together and saying, yeah, let's do something bigger together. Oh my gosh. I could talk about that all day long, because that was just, it's been an amazing journey this year.
Yes. No, I love that. I was part of volume 3, and I really love that because there's a lot of people at home and they need some assistance. And yes.
There we go. Volume 3. The beautiful butterfly goddess, right?
Yes, it is a beautiful cover. And it was just a wonderful way to connect with other people, even people in my own group. And so that's been just, I think, a godsend to many people, because they can't go out and it's very challenging. And I think it's actually a time to go within. And there are wonderful, wonderful techniques in all of your books. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, the healers that stepped up to say yes to the project are phenomenal, skilled. The expertise here is really beyond, and they're all master teachers like you are. And so stepping up to say yes to the challenge of teaching the tool inside the book in written words, and that is a challenge. And everybody did it. They stepped up, man. And these books ended up being little toolkits for people in a time where they really couldn't get out to their in-person healers and coaches. And so if you're hearing this today, y'all, and you're an author, thank you so much for saying yes to the project, and just for being the aware and incredible people that you are. So you mentioned it being, helpful, obviously, to the reader who needed tools, but there was another mission for me. And that was that all of these amazing people who couldn't be in person with their clients anymore, their businesses, that was a moment right? For so many people, like of panic.
That's true.
And to have a place where they could share the tool, get it out into the world in a much bigger way, and then possibly have people contact them and understand who they were and what they did, and really it be kind of a business booster. That is another huge mission for me in Bravefuler Productions, is to help you guys talk about what you do in a way that the world gets it, and then really want to explore your world further, right? So the chapters, I think, did that brilliantly.
Right. And you have a Facebook group. So anyone who's watching who wants to know more about the book, when you buy the book, you get access to a Facebook group so you can connect with the authors, which is a really brilliant idea. And then you can have a workshop with the authors or even just talk to them. And I think that's amazing.
Oh, thank you for mentioning that. I think we took the book a step further with that group, because where, you know, a book is a book, but where do you get to actually then go interact and ask questions about these things in the book, right? And then maybe even get training in that, whatever that modality was. And so thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, we did a lot of different things. This isn't just your average collaborative project. And I had been in about 4 of these before I ran my own. And so I knew what I wanted, and I knew what I wanted to provide, you know, to you all. So it's been really incredible. One of my favorite things is interviewing you all on the podcast and bringing you into that group that you mentioned and having you just do your amazing stuff, you know, for people live. Thank you for being one of the people who has done that and really helped people.
Oh, thank you. Thank you too. I wanted to talk about the joy of this because we have this fear, right? And we're always going to, I feel like I'm always up leveling. There's always a little bit of fear that I have to break through. So how do we do it in a sense of joy?
You have to do it with a sense of joy. This isn't like how, this is like, okay, right now, this moment, pause and figure it out. Like that's not a strategy beyond using your own body, mind awareness and observing your thoughts and your feelings and making a choice. Because with awareness, you get the choice. So awareness is the practice, right? Oh, goodness. You know, joy was the ultimate foundation for my own personal healing. The day I decided that if I prioritized that choice over and over again and made that my daily practice, not only would I feel better, because duh, right? But also things like my physical body would start to feel better, because you guys know that every emotion has a physiological component in your actual tissues, right? And so I'm a myofascial release practitioner. I can talk to you about the fascia and how it holds trauma inside of the actual physical tissue. So when you start to understand these concepts and you align with joy on a regular basis, be ready for a transformation. Yeah, I love this topic. You can tell, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, you know, I do too. I love that pleasure. You know, the more, and even when today, actually, I was talking to a client and you know, challenging things are happening. But the more that I said, you know, the more that we can actually step into even just moments of pleasure, maybe it's just a minute, and that could change the perspective of what is actually happening. You know, then you can have more of that awareness because you realize that you don't have to stay there. And I feel like that is just, you know, the actual idea of choice for me when I was going through challenging times was almost like unheard of. You know what? I have a choice how to feel. That's very empowering.
Yeah, it's a powerful idea, because when you're sitting at home and you're having a bad day and you've got a moment, and you know, maybe it's the day, maybe it's a few hours where you fell into doubt or uncertainty or second guessing your decisions, or even tipping into the pit of depression or whatever, blah, 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 right? So like, I've just learned to wake up to what is happening faster inside of me and literally have a conversation with her and just say, hey, you know, I named her, actually, I gave her a first name. And so I step out of being so in it, and I look at her and I listen to her, that voice, and I say, hey, you know, we got this. And I'm not going to waste my time, even 2 hours today, being in that. I'd much rather turn toward the people that I love helping and get my inspiration hat on, get my blogger, writer hat on, and go create something that has a much higher vibe of energy, right? So when you're in it and you realize what a wasted time that is, because back to what I said earlier in the beginning of the show, that woman who reached out that was a total stranger, get back to that. Get back to writing something or saying something that has that possibility. Believe me, you will not have a bad day for much longer if you shift right away. So that's the practice, is part of it anyway.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I think that's what we lose sight of it. Sometimes we get into our own space and lose sight of the bigger picture. But you're right, to remember who you're talking to. Who are you serving? You know, what is your purpose? What is your mission? You know, and I think that's what you do really well, is getting that clarity. And so I think it's really important for everyone. Why are you doing what you're doing? You know, asking yourselves a question, especially in those times of whatever you want to call it, you know, any kind of fear. Why are you doing this?
Right. And you guys aren't going to get the clarity by thinking more. You're going to get the clarity by taking some action. And it doesn't even really matter what kind of action. We could be talking about some self-care actions. Like sometimes I just need to go walk in the woods to shift the energy, you know, and sometimes I need to write a blog and I go in that direction. Sometimes I just need to blast some good music and I need to go in that direction, right? But all of it, whatever you choose, is a way better choice than just sitting and ruminating in that feeling that is literally tightening your chest or your gut, making you nauseous, making you doubt yourself more or fear more, right? That's the cycle that we have to break up. And you can get so much better at breaking it up and really doing it quickly.
Yes, and I think that's an important piece. And I also want to, just before I ask another question, talk about creativity for a moment, because you mentioned it. And I feel like that is really important, you know, because creativity can also move through things. You know, that's the source of it. And when you can tap into it faster, then you have a methodology and a technique that you can use to move energy and also release emotions that are trapped in your cells. It's a great healing methodology.
Creativity is a connection to yourself and your wild, sexy goddess being. And so it's the fastest route in is to the deep breath and the body, and connecting to that channel, to that something bigger, inner wisdom, and something much bigger than you. So yeah, go paint, go write, go sing, go dance, go, you know, something that doesn't have those structured lines to it.
Right.
And that's a positive cycle of joy, honestly.
Yes, great. Nice perspective. I want to ask if there are any programs that you have that you'd like to share with our audience, you know, either here or on the replay. They love to know more about what you're doing. So if you'd like to share that with us now.
Oh, thank you so much for asking. The big, badass, juicy thing that's happening for 2021 is the Wellness Authors Brave Business Program. And I really want to bring author, wellness practitioner, entrepreneurs into the program to catapult them on their journey throughout the year. So I'm bringing in 19 different experts in addition to myself to make sure you guys have all the resources and the knowledge in one place. And of course, you guys can find all of these things on my website. But also, maybe you're an author and you want to write a chapter, right, for the next Ultimate Guide collaboration. So y'all know where to find me. The Volume 5 application is up, and you're invited to apply for that project. And I would love to chat with you about it.
Perfect. Yeah, I put Laura's program for the wellness entrepreneurs, I believe, right here. So if anyone's interested, please click on the link. And you're welcome. And yes, Laura has an amazing array of people to help you. So I would definitely recommend, if she's resonating with you, to take her up on just connecting with her and seeing if this is working for you. We do have some time for questions. So if anyone is on the call and would like to ask a question, please do. We will answer them, and in the interim, we'll keep talking.
Yes, I see some amazing people on the live stream. Hi, Sonia and Leanne and Carolyn and Sandra, Marbeth. Thank you for watching, Michelle. Fire away. What are your biggest, juiciest questions? Like, let's answer them today, and solve world peace or something. Let's go.
Yes, we can do that. I was just talking to someone about that. When we can solve our own issues internally and we have peace within, that's the first step to solving world peace. It's not that hard, to be quite honest.
I agree with you. The solution is simple, and the work people think is going to be difficult. And sometimes it feels very difficult. Some days it feels impossible because it's inner work. It's coming up against your biggest resistance and your biggest feelings, conditioned, habitual reactions, right? That's the work right there. So that kind of awareness, that's why I put it in my, I hope you guys liked my new bio that Gila read for me, because it's a ninja move. It really is. You start to feel like you got the moves when you're doing this kind of awareness. It's awesome.
Yeah, it reminds me of a song, right? That it's fun. And I think that the more fun you have with your own life and that you can laugh, I think I realized that in my last group call, they really like to laugh. And that's a really great way to let out a lot of steam and to heal, is laughter and joy. And to come back to that, I thought that was really great, idea for this call. So thanks for sharing that.
Oh my gosh, what are we doing here if we're not laughing and having a good time? Life is short, you guys. So go for the joy, go for it today. Don't wait. Yeah.
Right. That's so true. Not waiting. And Laura was really good at that. I remember when I first started working with her, she's like, do it now. But it's so true. There is nothing like the now moment. And it really helps to move through any kind of emotions that you're having, because you feel that you can't, but that's just a story. And when you do it, then that story doesn't exist anymore. It might come up again, but you did it already. So you already have a track record.
Yeah, you're making the feeling mean something. So you really have to watch it and understand what you're making it mean, the words that are attached to the scary feelings. And the problem a lot of the time is that the scary feelings really they're intense, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die, right? It's a survival fear feeling, but it is the feeling, the what you're making it mean isn't warranted for what this is, right? These purpose-driven fears, you guys, this is about you living your best thriving life. And so if it aligns with something that you're doing in the world like that, and you need to start, journaling, Gila and I will both tell you, get the stuff out of your head and let yourself look at it. Sometimes I catch myself journaling and I'll read it and I'll look down and I'll be like, whoa, do I think that? Like, what am I doing here? Right. So it's just it's just an awareness tool. That's all it is.
Yes, exactly. It's a fabulous tool, because without it, it's always about release. I have another client who's gone to many, many doctors, practitioners, but we all say the same thing. You have to release. You have to love yourself. So and I think actually it's wonderful that also medical practitioners are saying the same thing. That's been a great awareness for me, because I'm not in that world anymore. But I'm really happy that they're now talking about that rather than just giving pills.
Oh my gosh, yes. Won't that be the ultimate shift when all of our primary medical contacts, our doctors, are looking at us as a whole, as a soul, and having those kinds of discussions, right? That I think it's already happening. And that's really exciting.
Yes, I think so too. And then I feel like we're not only, changing our own vibration and healing our own lives, we're raising the vibration of the planet. That's why I believe, like what you're saying, is that our missions are so important, Because if we don't do them, not only do we keep ourselves low, like small, but we're not helping the people that need us. We're not helping our constituencies that are looking for us. So it's necessary, even if it feels difficult, even if you waited a year, it doesn't matter. The time is always now. So even the little bits, the little steps that I've seen have had phenomenal repercussions.
A lot of us had to get past this thing that happened to us where we were thinking we had to play small and stay quiet, and finding our voices and expressing, and then going even a step more to really that high vibrating presence, no matter where you are or what you're doing. I've been binge watching Supernatural on Netflix over COVID, right? And I love all the times where they're doing these magical scenes. And what you're making me think of is this scene where they had this glowing, beaming crystal, purple and white rock, right? And it was gathering all of the soul energy. And I feel like if we can be responsible for vibrating high like that, we become this magnet. And it's a magnet, but it's also going out as well. There's like this two-way street of awesomeness, right? So I love actually having a visual of it, right? Because we don't necessarily, well, unless you're like a super magical goddess, you don't see the energy. A lot of people do, right? But I feel it more than I see it with my eyes. So I like to have a visual of that. And I'm walking around the world as this glowing purple crystal. And, I've got the two-way street of vibes going. So you guys can tell that I have fun with that. Like, have fun with that. Imagine, make believe, practice your joy.
Yes. I love that visual, because that's what we are. What we visualize, we are.
Right.
And I think that's been just a powerful practice for me, like just getting back into my vision. I used to daydream all the time. And then I found out, well, that's actually a source of manifestation. So then it only increased the ante for me to daydream, but it's such an important part of just being, just being with ourselves and living with and knowing that we can have the dream. I think that was the biggest thing for me, actually, that I always thought the dream was somewhere else. Like, it wasn't ever going to be in my reality. But the more that I actually say, okay, it can be in my reality, what are the steps that I need to take? And just ask, and then allow it to come in. That has been just magical in and of itself.
I love that idea of the daydream being, you're manifesting during your daydreams. So it really behooves you to have an intention. We think about daydreaming as not having control over that because we're just like, la da da, and we're just, thinking of whatever. But unfortunately, if you're being sucked into a worry daydream, then that's where, we've been talking about today, just having the awareness to understand where you're at with that and change it very quickly to something you choose. Well, what would I rather be doing versus worrying in my daydreaming? Well, I'd rather be in joy and manifesting more of those vibes towards me, right? So yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about here.
Yep, exactly. So I don't see any questions. Anybody, if you'd like to post a question, please post it here. We'd answer right away. I see a bunch of people. They're still online. So even if you post after the replay, we will definitely, we'll definitely access them and answer them. So I just wanted to, if you have any other things to say, Laura, or you want to share anything else before we close in a few minutes.
Yeah, and thanks, you guys. We'll certainly come and answer questions afterwards if you type them in. Maybe you're watching the replay or whatever, and would be happy to chat with you if some of the ideas are resonating, or you just want to have a chat about writing your brave words this year and getting your message out in a bigger way. You can contact me. We can have a chat. And I think that what I love to finish with is a really big, important, high vibing question. And when you're bringing yourself out of fear into curiosity, or out of fear into gratitude, or out of fear into almost any other high vibing, state, then you're doing it. You're doing this thing. So the question would be, what if there's something you haven't learned yet that could change everything? And I love to dwell there, especially on a bad day. So I offer that question to you guys.
Wonderful. Yes, and if you have any answers or you'd like to message Laura privately, please do so. I think that, or myself, we're really open to helping you to live your highest journeys. I also have a number of group and personal one-on-one mentoring programs, and I'd love to connect with you. Just go to my website, gilanehemiah.com, and you can schedule a chat with me as well. So if you don't have any final words, then I would just like to just say thank you, Laura, for being here with me today. It's been awesome and joyful as usual, and I really enjoyed connecting with you today.
Thank you, Gila. Thank you also just for what you're doing in the world and for being that brave warrior soul that I feel like stands by my side to do this thing that we're doing. Seriously, it takes a badass, it takes a warrior, and playing in the sandbox with fellow warriors is really, really fun. So I so appreciate you.
Me too. Thank you. Thank you, Laura.